name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. Today we're going to talk about 3 reasons the Kemper definitely does not suck. Now, if you follow Tone Junkie on Instagram or you get our emails or whatever, you may have seen this little guy right here. I'm going to Kansas City. I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. Is that how the song goes? I don't know. I am going to Kansas City, and I'm going to go visit my new friends over at JHS. And I'm really excited about that, and really excited to go on their show there called The Kemper Sucks. And we're going to talk about all the reasons why the Kemper does or does not suck. That's really the crux of the show. So join us for that. You can see the time, everything on the Facebook page down in the description. Yada yada yada. But today I want to talk about why it doesn't suck. And I've just been getting my thoughts together before I head out there, and I'm sitting here playing the Kemper, and I realized something. Number one reason the Kemper doesn't suck, and I got 3 of them. Number one reason the Kemper doesn't suck, it is incredibly musical. And that's not something you usually get with digital devices. That is something that really you usually think of as a tube kind of thing, right? But what I was just playing there, this is like my sound, man. Like, I don't expect everyone to dig this. It's a little bright for this context, but I have this dialed in to play with my band, and this is the tone I use. So there's other instruments around it, and so this is where I've carved, the spot to use, the spot to sort of sit and be. Is it overly bright? I don't know. You tell me. Here's the bridge. Now, obviously, there is a ton of reverb on that, and I even have the morph button activated. But if I take that off and I scroll over to right here to my main deluxe, this is kind of the main sound I use. A lot of verb, a lot of delay. I do a lot of the sort of leady, edgy rhythm stuff, so I'm usually, kind of... I don't know, to me it's not too much delay, it's not too much, at least for like the music that we're playing, but totally for like a rock context, you'd want to turn that stuff off. But what I get out of that is the thing that I think I love most about the Kemper, and the thing that I couldn't do otherwise, and it's this. The number one thing I love is how musical it is. and how you can get it, it's one thing. I can sort of get my complete sound out of one like large musical package, you know, and I can do this really big sort of. I can get that big sound that I really want, but then I can just flip it up and really just the volume. I don't have to touch anything here, and you get the. And I mean, this is not a super fancy guitar. It's a Sir, but these are just PAF style pickups. You know what I mean? And you know, you just have it right there. Also, of course, you know, you got like the lead boost and stuff. You know, to me, that's everything. That is like everything I want. That's everything I want to be able to do and sound like. Even to bring it up here, darken it up, and just. You know, all those cheesy dad blues riffs, blah, blah, blah. You know, the thing is, do you ever know what to play when there's no music? I truly, for someone who like makes video, who like does this a lot, I never know what to play. I swear I sit down, I can't play the guitar. You put a song in front of me though, I will be exceedingly creative. I really do believe. It's musical, right? Number one, it's musical. Number two, best thing about the Kemper, why it doesn't suck. Here's the thing, guys. You compare anything to a tube amp, and like the biggest thing I think people are missing is, you know, saying like if I said, "What's your favorite car?" and you were like, "Oh, it's the Space Mountain ride at Disneyland," I'd be like, "Well, that's not a car." And you'd be like, but it has all the acceleration I want. It has like, I don't have to maintain it. This is not the best example ever, but you might be like, oh, it's this race car. It's my buddy's race car, right? And it's like, well, you know, in your day-to-day life, what do you need out of a car, right? It's like your favorite car might be the Lamborghini Aventador, but I personally find my minivan to be very useful. And so, like, you know, there's sort of like, as much as I would love to have like an old 65 Mustang, you know, and it'd be cool to look at it and see. My grandfather had a 63 Jaguar, you know, and maybe one day I'll own it and I'll just keep it in my garage and look at it, and it'll remind me of being a kid and riding in that car. It's great, but you know, look, man, to be honest, it never ran well. There's always problems with the old, like the fuel injector line had a crack, and it's literally, he's owned it for like 30-something years. It's been in the shop for 29 plus years. I mean, it's like, it's literally, it's always in the shop. It's always, and I'm not saying tube amps break down a lot. What I am saying is, one of my favorite things about the Kemper is the ability to just store. Number two is like really to just store a sound and be able to get that sound. And it's the full, complete sound. There are no more variables really. Now, there's always another variable in that, you know, what's the room that someone's listening in to my Kemper? What's the sound system it's running through? That's a variable that's always going to be there. And you know, how is that person's position in the room sound? But in our sort of analogy here, it's like, to me, the tube amp is like really fun, it's really flashy, but it just doesn't get the job done, because at the end of the day, the tube amp is designed for something we don't use it for anymore, right? So we take our tube amp and we turn it up really loud and we just like love it, and we're just like, yeah! And that's super cool. That's super fun. But for me as a player, and especially for me as just as a guitar player, I take a lot of time to make sure that my sound is what I want. And I'm really interested in how sounds fit together and what they do, kind of together, and how the guitar fits into a band context. And if your rig is a tube amp, the variables that you're leaving there are the microphones and the pre's. And really it's the, how do I get this sound, which is a loud thing on the stage, how do I get that to the audience? And I'll tell you something that's like really different than a tube amp. Like in a live setting, we use, like, you might think like, well, isn't that kind of like just singers? Don't you just walk in and you sing into a microphone and the sound guy makes you sound the way you sound? Yeah, I totally hear that. It does make sense, but I think for a guitar player, see, the vocals always have this luxury. If there's vocals in a music, the sound guy will always make sure they're audible. The vocals are number one. The lyrics and the vocals are number one, like to the song. And the instruments come around it and serve the song. And you as a guitar player have a choice of pickups and all these things that we really stress about: amps, cabinets, effects. And we talk about, the tube screamer mids and the Klon mids. And it's like we take all that care for this sort of, equation, this tonal equation. And yet at the very end of our chain is this very powerful thing where we put a microphone on a speaker. And where you put that microphone on the speaker is kind of like, imagine if you took a microphone and put it around a singer, and was moving it all around, you'd get all these different sounds, right? Or like, let's say you're in a room and I'm yelling. It's like, if you put it behind me, you're only going to get reverberation of the room. If you put it in front of me, you might get it here. What if you turned it the wrong way? And a lot of those sort of components come into amplifying a guitar amp. And to me, just from a practical sense, one of the reasons the Kemper doesn't suck is I can dial in my tone, I can hit save, and I know that it's there. Now, the only thing that can happen is a sound guy turns me off, or he adds further EQ to mess up my sound. But I at least know the sound I'm giving him is what I want to be delivered to the audience. So of course there's variables of the physical space, there's the room, but that's inherent with the physical nature of sound waves, right? But you're always going to have a sound guy who can ruin things, but you got to trust that they're going to help things. And I want to help them by giving them a finished, polished product. And to me, I want to give them the thing as close to a finished, mastered track as I can in terms of EQ. And to me, that's why the Kemper doesn't suck. Because I think a lot of people go Kemper versus tube amp, and to me, that's not the question. The question is not Kemper versus tube amp. It's in a live setting or in a recording environment. It's Kemper versus your recording setup. And because that's what it can capture. And if your recording setup is really great and amazing, maybe that recording setup's going to win. If you have a bunch of roadies, like maybe the tube amp is going to win. But realistically, we don't have that. So I love being able to save my number two. First, it's musical. Second, I love being able to have my sound and recall it everywhere I want. At my studio desk here, on this little video set, when I go play live, that's the number one thing. And then number two, I think the Kemper makes us I think it makes us learn. And the reason I say that is, I think the Kemper makes us learn because there are a number of little things in here that you can do to just make this thing incredible. I'm going to switch over to some new profiles that I've been working on, and I'll show you some of those. It's going to sound a lot different EQ wise, because I have a lot going on that other deal. But what profiles do I want? Let's check this out. So, okay, here is the Firebird 35 M speaker 2.3. So it's the EF86 channel. Man, the guitar is so fun to play. Firebird 35 M25 2-3. And to me, okay, this is a great profile, right? This is a really great profile. I've got nothing going on EQ-wise with this profile. But let's say for a second that I go, it's a little too bright, you know? Man, just a little, like where's my brightness? Is it this kind of brightness? Well, yeah, I actually just want the guitar more focused sounding, so I'm gonna add mids, take away presence. I'm coming out of tune a little bit, but you get the idea. I can make these adjustments and I can listen to them, and they're adjustments I can't really make on most other devices, especially if I'm gonna stay analog, right? So let me like really get into that with you. Okay, so if I pull up something like a studio EQ, like where are you gonna get a studio EQ in your live sound, right? And let's say I wanna come in here, and you heard the guitar before, but here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna cut a little bit of, I'm gonna cut like one and a half of the frequencies. I'm gonna put a shelf, and that shelf is going to bring everything from 100 down lower. It's going to decrease it by 1.5 decibels. Then right here I've got 40. Let's go 4,500, 43, and I'm going to decrease all of that by 2 decibels. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here, and I've got a 1.5 about decibel boost at about 550. We're gonna have a nice full mid-rangey sound. And then I've got a 2 decibel. Now let's bring this down. We'll do a 1 decibel peak at 2300. That's gonna give us plenty of accent up there, kind of where we want it. It's gonna be in a very vocal range for the guitar, and it's all gonna sound like this. I'm going to turn that off now. Back on now. Off. The ability to dial that in, like if you're a studio guy, the ability to get that live and just have the guitar player either know to do that, not to do that, really do it or not. It's the difference between two guitars having a different sound or not. Because if I hear my buddy come in and he's playing like this, I'm gonna exaggerate that even more. Like I'm gonna come up here and try to be like this. If that's him, I wanna do this. Like, or maybe that's the rhythm guitar, right? Maybe that's the rhythm. And then my lead, you know, imagine my lead, I can come in here with the lead and I can be more present, and I can come in here and kind of do this sort of thing. want to cut out like some of that low end, because live, I'm not sure I'd want that. Even right here, it can be a little woofy. Man, it's so easy to do. I can come in here. That ability to look at an EQ, place it before or after, it's next level understanding of what the tone is, right? And it's why really like what we're talking about is like it's pre-EQ, it's post-EQ. It's what kind of EQ do you put after a guitar amp? How do you shape it there? You usually don't boost a ton of mids afterwards. You know, the guitar's a very mid-range instrument. You find boosting and cutting of mids in the front, and then later you can like refine what's coming out. So if you want more mid-range, you tend to take away high and low in a post-EQ environment, whereas in a you know, and I would say that I'm obviously putting peaks in the mid-range, right, for a voicing. But you know, say I want just more mids, and that's my sound. Here I've got just a pre-gain, a pre-amp, a pre-amplifier mid boost. And all this is just a graphic EQ, and I'm cutting a bunch of high end, boosting the mids. You know what I'm saying? It's a thicker, less poly type thing. And even if I clean it up, it's still thick. It just sounds great. And you know, you can have that sound. You can be doing this. And then you can take all that off and you get all of this back. Man, I don't know, like it's gonna make you understand those things and make you just have a better understanding. Whereas, you know, do you have any idea what mid-range frequencies are coming out on your Vox? You know, do you know how to, if someone says, hey, those two guitar players sound a lot alike, you know, how do you make space for another guitar player? You know, that's something I got to do more content on. I did some content a while ago, but a lot of the new Tone Junkie followers didn't hear it all. You know, how to hear EQ in like 8 bands, you know, rather than just highs and lows, high, middle, low. And then presence, high, middle, low. And then how do we break it up? How do we get presence? How do we get like air, you know, the breath, the real high presence? And then how do you get like, you know, treble? How do you get like low mids, high mids? How do you get like bass and the rumble and, you know, the deep stuff? Like, how do you, like, you can give them any names you want, but they're just frequencies. And you kind of know what they sound like already. The difference is just that, you know, you just go, oh, that sounds kind of like a Fender. That sounds like a Vox. That sounds, but you can kind of hear why. You can hear the differences in the EQ. And those things, when you realize that like it's 90% about EQ and your ability to sort of dial those things in, it just makes you just a better musician and a better player. And I think having the control over that in one unit, to me, is one of the things I love. So, you know, it's musical. I can recall my sound all the time, anything I want. anything that I want to do and save, any project, any recording, I can save that stuff. I have performances just of videos I've done for like sounds I've dialed in, delays, verbs, and everything, and it's awesome. And then last but not least, it makes you smarter with your tone because you have all the tools. And if you dive into them a little bit, you realize there's nothing I can't really do. Like maybe I can't nail a Walrus Julia chorus because the chorus sounds different, but or maybe I feel like I wish there was more trems. There was a harmonic trem or whatever. Yeah, you can't do a harmonic trem on the Kemper. It's not built in there. Maybe they'll add it. But what you can do is shape your tone in any way you want. I don't know, to me, guys, that's why it doesn't suck. I've been HW. Thanks so much for watching. I'll have these profiles out, soon-ish. I'll have like a teaser coming out this week or something. And bada bing, bada boom. Thanks so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. HW, out. See you in Kansas City.